Hello everyone, I am Zia Ahmed with my second video for explaining basic functions of supply chain management in a concise and simple way. For details, you can check my book, A Practical Handbook of Supply Chain Management, which is available on Barnes & Noble and Walmart besides Amazon. For starting the discussion, we see that every organization acquires some materials and then passes them over to the customer with or without processing. Supply chain management techniques help to ensure smoothness and proficiency of this whole process, thus cover a considerable part of business management. After understanding its nature, the second thought that strikes our mind is to assess its level or extent of importance for successfully running any business. Or is it a must for management professionals to learn supply chain management techniques? A simple response here is that supply chain management is vital for smooth running of any business. Especially in this time of globalization, where customers have easy access on product information and sources, and the companies are striving more on gaining competitive edge or competitive advantage to secure a continuous business from the customers. Moving forward, supply chain management can be broadly divided into following functions: purchasing, logistics, demand forecasting, inventory management, and insurance. Let us explain all these very briefly. Purchasing. This involves all the activities of acquiring items for resale or company use. We cannot limit it to just placing a purchase order to the supplier. For example, doing market search for item or negotiating a long-term contract with supplier is also a part of it. Emphasis of this whole activity is ensuring maximum value for the invested amount without compromising on company standards and long-term goals. Logistics. It covers all the activities of bringing items from suppliers by any means like air, land or sea, then stacking, that is warehousing, and then delivering to the customers. It mainly focuses on optimizing flow of goods and services for smooth running of operation and meeting customers' requirements while remaining within budgeted limits. We cannot afford to go too much over the cost all the time. If we follow this pattern, then naturally we will not be able to maintain our required level of profit. One among very important keys to success, often neglected, is easy accessibility of stacked items at the needed time, which means regularly updating the item quantities and their locations in the system. Otherwise, precious time is wasted in locating them, or in some extreme situations, we might lose sales. Moving to demand forecasting. Demand forecasting. As name indicates, this encompasses forecasting demand of products in which we are dealing in a systematic way using various techniques, not on mere personal judgment or superstitions. This is a very broad subject, but here we will limit our discussion to only two techniques. Number one, expert opinion. When we assign the tasks to some experts who use their experience for making a forecast. Number two, using past sales data to develop an assessment of goods and services that customers will purchase in a foreseeable future. Both these methods have their strengths and weaknesses. So in general, companies work with a combination of both. Inventory management. Inventory means saleable items of any company. So this becomes the most precious asset. While handling inventory, companies don't want to face two extremes. Number one, huge pile of items are dumped in and there is no sale. Number two, a customer orders an item and we don't find anything with us. In first scenario, we will incur financial losses and lose storage space. While in second, we will be losing customers and our reputation. Inventory management makes it sure that whenever a customer needs an item, we have its adequate quantity available to satisfy the need. For this, inventory is kept at an optimum level where it serves our needs but does not block financial resources and floor space. Insurance. This is a very important function as it saves company from many risks. Due to fast changing business environment, many countries have implemented regulations for businesses to be insured without exception. This has added to its importance. Supply chain department handles all those insurance lines which are related directly to operation of company. For example, marine, land, property insurance. In most cases, except medical and life, all other lines of insurance are handled by supply chain managers. This is often the most neglected function. But lack of expertise here might inflict huge losses. For example, a supply chain manager might not be able to get a proper compensation of loss claims. Because this is a common observation that when we lodge any claim with any insurance company, they are generally trying to find some loopholes in which they can decline a claim. Going back to our subject, the supply chain manager needs to develop a considerable level of command on following important insurance lines, which are mostly handled by them. Number 1, marine insurance. This covers movement of cargo by air, courier and sea. Land transit. The shipments moving by land, both on company owned vehicle or rented vehicles, are covered by this insurance. Motor vehicles insurance. This covers vehicles owned by the company. Sometimes the owner's personal vehicles are also added here. Property insurance. This is for premises of the company and stocks. Fidelity insurance. This covers theft of employees who are directly handling cash. For example, cashiers, cash collectors or counter salespersons. Let us illustrate all these different functions with a practical example. Suppose a company needs a very simple item like nuts and bolts in a huge quantity. After receiving an approved requisition, the purchasing officer first checks the available quantities in the warehouse and then starts the purchasing process. At first, the item will be checked with our regular suppliers. In case it is not available with them, then other suppliers will be contacted to quote their best prices. The purchasing officer might explore possibilities of arranging both components from separate suppliers and then clubbing them together. Once a supplier is finalized, order is placed and acknowledgement is received. Then it is referred to a logistics officer who will arrange to bring it from supplier in most economic way without compromising on delivery requirements of the company. After receiving the items, shipment will be checked physically and stacked properly in warehouse, and then its information will be updated in the system. Information means the quantity and the respective location where it is available in the warehouse. If such purchase requests are received too frequently, then the supply chain department will start looking for possibilities of keeping a minimum inventory based upon previous records. This inventory level will be carefully assessed and an adequate quantity will be kept to satisfy the customer needs without adding financial burden on the company. During transit, the shipment will be insured by marine insurance. After clearance from the customs, it will be covered by land transit insurance and in the warehouse by property insurance. I hope you enjoyed my video. In my next videos, I will try to cover other important topics of supply chain management. Please feel free to ask any questions or send any suggestions about this video. In the end, if you have liked the video, then please press the like button and please subscribe to my channel. Thank you.